David. Every time I hit my keyboard, I find something on you, and it gets worse and worse and worse. Shit. Holy. Come on.
Trapmore gang, we're still looking for answers in this David case, and one of the most sinister and dark aspects of this case was the allegation that there was actually a man that had groomed Celeste before she fell into the clutches of David, and the rumors that this person actually ended up being murdered. Now, it seems like there is now some evidence.
Bro, do you guys see how in depth this shit gets? What in the goddamn... What the hell? Oh my god. Wow.
Circulating that seems to suggest
we get into
that
this
might actually be true. Now, I want to give a shout out to another YouTube channel before I get into this. This is True Crime with Strategic Eyes. Now, he did a live about 9 days ago titled David Wasn't Celeste's First Groomer. And in this video, he did a really, really good investigative piece on this man that goes by the name of Gus. Now, before I get into it, I want to give you a trigger warning. We're going to discuss some pretty disgusting stuff. You know, excuse the pun.
Oh, hell.
But there's going to be some pretty dark stuff that I'm going to be bringing up in this video. And I just wanted to give a shout out to True Crime with Strategic Eyes for his great research in this, because I previously did a video where I talked about, you know, David might have a second body. There was a rumor that maybe, who was this Gus person? He had been killed. Could it be possible that somebody had something?
They also think David might have killed another minor. So, bro, he got a lot of bodies on his hands if all of this turns out to be true, bro. Because he got Celeste, potentially Celeste's first PDF boyfriend. It's crazy because a PDF could kill another PDF. Whatever. That's a video for another day, right? And then potentially another minor. And that's 3 that we potentially know about. Lock this nigga up. FBI, open up. Now. Jesus.
Do with it out of jealousy? Well, it seems like that probably wasn't the case now based on the information that we're seeing. But what is coming out is the sordid backstory of this Gus individual who apparently did end up losing his life. And some people are believing they might have actually identified who this was and the gang-related slaying that took place after an alleged situation took place. Now, look, trigger warning, there's going to be some dark stuff that we're going to be discussing in this related to SA and statutory R word. So there were these DMs that were going around a little while ago, okay? And these were purported to be Celeste talking to a friend and specifically mentioning an individual named Gus who she had had relations with before David. This was a back and forth that was going on. And apparently this was her replying. They said, I'm just going to check up on you. And she replied, I don't want to talk to anyone. They replied, that's it. She said, okay, yes, of course. And they said, but you have to swear you're going to stay safe. Are you still going to talk to David or go back with him? Because I don't want you to get in any more trouble with him. She replied, I'm safe. No, I'm not. The friend replied.
Remember when they tried to make David's brother the fall guy? This disproves that. So that's one lie we got this nigga on. All right, come on.
Right, okay, I love you. I'll text you in about a week. Please don't delete your Instagram. She said, love you too, and I won't. And then they replied, and this is where things get really dark. Someone said, they said, I made it with crying emojis. And then they replied, said, it can bleed and not bleed during S because you probably did it when you were younger. I didn't because I wasn't horny. And they replied, you said you bled what? And they said, I thought I did, but I just got my period. I only bled with David. And they said,
Line number 2, now we can prove that it was a sexual relationship. We got, this nigga David's done for. People, all you David little apologists, y'all want to say, oh, there's no proof that it was a sexual relationship. And they even try to come out and say his brother could have been the little fall guy or whatever. And it made sense or whatever. Well, explain this, motherfucker. Explain this shit right here, bro. Because this is her texting her friends. These are leaked DMs. Middle fingers to y'all because y'all just wrong, bro. Y'all is wrong as hell.
They said, with Gus, I was just drunk and did it because he got mad at me the first time for not having S with him. And so this is where the first mention of this Gus individual comes up. And essentially...
Well, hold on. Did she say this Gus dude was Gus? With Gus, I was drunk. Bro, imagine a grown-ass man with a minor that's probably... She was probably 13, 14 at the time. And he's mad because this minor, who's drunk, by the way, won't have sex with him. FBI, open up! bro, like, I don't want to speak on the dead, but this guy, he has something coming. I'll tell you that much.
And essentially, you know, there's been a lot of debate over who this was, how this ended up leaking, the authenticity of it, and we still don't have the real full-blown answers for exactly what was going on with this. But this is essentially what's going on as far as these images being posted. And bear in mind, these have been circulating for a long time. These have been up for 5 months. These Instagram DMs circulated pretty soon after Celeste was actually identified as the deceased individual that was found in the trunk of David's Tesla. So when this post went around, it said, I searched up this woman, I searched up this Wowness account and found she followed an account going by the name of Matthew, which is followed by David, and an account Dolce, who looks to be her friend maybe. Dolce follows a lot of people from Cali, which is where Celeste was from. The Dolce account is also weirdly named Help1201. I don't know the significance of this name. I'm only speculating, but the numbers could relate to a date, maybe the 1st of September. I'm not too sure. I also found that David replied to a Twitter account by the name of Dolce. Now, at first I was thinking this Dolce person was actually Celeste under an alias, but now I'm not too sure. Just a reminder, all of this is speculation and none of what I said is fact. Now, obviously, back then, people weren't really picking up on what was going on. They're saying that David's cooked. You can't get away with committing crimes in this day and age. Well, 5 months later, he's not cooked. Okay?
Yeah, he ain't cooked,
Not cooked. 5 months later.
And the reason it's so sus to me, besides all the fucking overwhelming evidence, is the fact that her body was found in a Tesla, which is literally just a electrical snitch machine. It has cameras everywhere. It's tracked. It's a GPS. The car is a literal, bro. There's nothing more fed than a Tesla. It's literally a moving GPS with cameras and everything. So it's like it makes me question the LAPD, because I'm like, ain't no way y'all got nothing. And he literally dumped her body in a Tesla. All right, then, whatever.
This was all going around. People were trying to get to the bottom of this. But what's really interesting, it says, I see a motive for a murder on those DMs. Celeste had sex with a guy named Gus while she was drunk. David most likely found out and killed her. And he also unfollowed a guy named Gus on Instagram recently, so it's really suspicious. Now, comments like this and other similar things, look, this isn't the first time that I've seen a comment like this. This was 5 months ago. So this just goes to show you these rumors that David might have had a second body or had something to do with the murder of a guy called Gus. These were going around, but it does seem like these are unsubstantiated now. And I want to make it clear, I don't believe that David had anything to do with the murder of this Gus guy, but there is a Gus that's been identified from Celeste's area that did end up getting murdered. Now, what is crazy is that after this, messages from Celeste's brother would further confirm that he was personally aware of who Gus was, right? This says Gus was mentioned in Celeste's messages.
Yeah, because he was in the DMs, right? So they're trying to connect dots here. I get what's going on. All right. They just don't have something substantial to say it's David, which it probably wasn't, bro. If this guy, like, based on the way he texts, and I ain't trying to stereotype, I think they showed a message of him earlier, and if that was him, he was probably in the streets. If he was in the streets, that's a whole different avenue, bro. So it could just be coincidence. Now, that ain't gonna stop me from titling this shit what I want to title it. Just FYI, bro. Y'all could kiss my ass.
Possible ex that passed. And so people claim that this is her brother. So that's my sister dog. And they said, fuck, it is. You think this is real? He said, yes, I do. I know who Gus is, and he's dead. They said, what happened? They said, he got shot up, dead. And they said, you think by David or just some other stuff? The brother says, other stuff. Okay, and then they regurgitate that. It says, leaked conversation with Celeste's brother. Also, nobody talking about the second body found south, also in a car in the trunk. This whole situation got insanely deeper and deeper as days go by. Now, there was another body found in the trunk around the same time that Celeste was found in the trunk of the car. And again, this is 5 months ago. So the idea that people were even DMing Celeste's brother asking if David was responsible for this other murder, this goes to show you this isn't something I've put out there. This isn't something that I've come up with and conjured up out of nothing. This is something that people have been digging into for 5 months at this point. But as you can see, okay, people are saying the situation's getting scarier and scarier. There's more things we don't even know. They investigated his house and took his computer. I hope they share it with the media. Okay, people are trying to work out who this is. Now, this person's name came up, okay, and this was shared at the time. There wasn't too much information about him, but now there's a little bit more information that's circulating. Gustavo Morales, age 21. So someone said there's another Gus whose Instagram's active. David used to follow. But recently, they're saying, so he was 21, she was 10.
I don't think so.
They're saying if it's the same guy, then yeah, it could be a different guy potentially. Maybe the brother just assumed she was referring to this Gus. They're saying, what's the Gus that he used to follow on the...
Bro, if this is true, No, like if this is true, I really just think this is all a parental like flaw, man. Because it shows just how like neglected she had to be to just constantly chase not just older men, just like way older men that are in these weird situations that she likes, like not likes, but she would put herself in these victim situations like more than once, right? And it to me, when I see girls that are young and they do stuff like that, it's like a parental thing going on at home that's just is severely, severely needs to be addressed, bro. Like seriously. Because I feel like if she was loved at home and they paid attention and they were doing their jobs or whatever, there is no way she would have done this shit not once but twice with two different guys that we know about. I don't think so.
Instagram handle saying, what second body? Where? What the F? So basically, okay, these messages between Celeste and the mysterious person talking about her hooking up with a guy called Gus, they were further linked to Celeste's Discord activity, and that provided more context on this Gustavo or this Gus guy. And there was essentially, more speculation on who the identity might have been. So this was 4 months ago. People saying, I found the Gustavo that essayed Celeste when she was only 11 before she met David, right? And people are saying that this was her in the Discord saying, I was a virgin until 11, gang. Where you at? So the numbers would add up. She's saying, I got essayed. It was so silly. They're saying it's okay. And then people are saying that this is who it was. That's the claim that's being made. Now, there's more pictures of him going around. They said they found his Facebook a few days ago. It says, guess karma got to him. I wish jail got to this groomer faster for taking advantage of her at a young age. Now, we don't know for sure. Not 100% proven, okay? But essentially, there's all these deep dives into different people connected to him and to her and all of this stuff. People saying, I feel like she got groomed and that's why she was so attached to David as well. It was her way of coping.
I think their link is the fact that she said Gus in the DMs, and then this guy was the most relevant, like the closest Gus there would have been in this situation because they lived in the same area, and then also he I don't know how else they're connecting that shit though. I ain't gonna lie to you though. All I know is she did say Gus in the motherfucking DM, so it's some Gus that had to be from that part of California. Like that. That's the facts. I don't know how they got this guy though. That's what I'm trying to figure out. How we get this dude over here? How we get this motherfucking Gus? Cause I don't know. But if it is him, bro, you was a fucking sick bastard from everything I just read.
Trauma that she wasn't over, and she thought is the only way she could feel love since she never had a good experience with boys. People saying it's speculated to be a different Gus who was a bit younger. People are unsure if it's this guy or another. I'll try to find it. So I'll try and find the message of the brother saying Gustavo died due to gang violence, and we already saw these messages here. Essentially it's saying if it's him, he died in October 2020. She would have just turned 10 at that, oldest though, not 11. Something doesn't add up. People are saying maybe she lied about her age in the Discord before her brother had deleted the account. People saying, I read that he pled not guilty and I can't find anything else. I don't know if he was sentenced or not. I really don't know the justice system works in America, but the trial could have not happened yet. Also, do we know for sure that David and Celeste hadn't met in 2020? Maybe we're reading too much into it. I don't know. It feels so weird that Celeste's former abuser was murdered, possibly the case that it isn't solved yet. So yeah, it says the killer pled not guilty. The killer wasn't Gustavo. It was a 19-year-old. His picture pops up when you click that news. And they're saying that Noah Arath was Gustavo's alleged killer, and he pled not guilty. So this was Noah who actually got arrested for the shooting. And I believe, I don't think, it says, I noted Gus was roughly 2 hours away from where the Tesla was found. I don't think they're connected, to be honest with you.
That makes sense.
Basically, this has all been going around, and this basically was him. He was denied murder following the shooting. Now, as far as I'm aware, I don't know whether this case was solved or what happened, but this is the details. It said Lake Elsinore, California, a 19-year-old Lake Elsinore resident accused of gunning down a 21-year-old man in an attack near the lake pled not guilty Tuesday to a murder charge. Noah Arath Buran-Rostow is facing a sentence-enhancing gun and great bodily injury allegation stemming from the slaying of Gustavo Morales. Also of Lake Elsinore, he was arraigned before Riverside County Superior Court Judge Stephen Gallon, who scheduled a felony settlement conference at the Southwest Justice Center. He was being held in lieu of $1 million bail. And according to the Sheriff Department, the shooting happened around 10 p.m. on October the 14th in the 500 block of Quail Drive near Joy Street, less than a quarter mile from the lake. The deputies were called to the location to investigate reports of a man down, discovering Morales dead at the scene. Sheriff Sergeant Steve Broche said The Gang Task Force and Central Homicide Unit investigators identified Buren Rostro as the alleged assailant, but no other details were disclosed, including a verifiable motive. The defendant was summoned to the sheriff's Lake Elsinore station, and following an interview with detectives, let me without incident the next day. He has no documented prior.
All right, I'm gonna take a guess here. My guess is what they're gonna try to say is because if you heard them, they said they don't have a clear motive, right? I think what they try to say is that this dude took a hit out on somebody, or somebody took a hit out on Gus, and this dude collect money to kill this dude. The reason I'm saying that, and that's just my guess of what they're about to say, is because they're saying there was no like clear motive, and it just didn't make sense, right? So usually that, look, let me just like break it down for you, bro. Usually in the streets, that either means he maybe took a hit, right? And he got paid for that hit, or he's sliding on behalf of somebody else. Shit like associated with that, right? Because if the original Gus dude was not in the streets, then you know damn well he took a hit. You know damn well this was a paid job. That's all I'm gonna say.
Felony convictions. Now, interestingly enough, okay, the Gustavo Morales who ended up dying, he ended up actually having a case in early 2020, about 8 months before he got killed. So basically, he had a criminal history. This said Lake Elsinore on Friday, February the 21st, 2020. In Lake Elsinore Station, deputies responded to the 31,000 block of Riverside Drive in the city of Lake Elsinore in reference to a carjacking that had just occurred. Deputies learned the victim's vehicle was taken by 2 unknown male suspects, and after an extensive search, the vehicle was located, and investigators were able to identify the suspects as Gustavo Morales, a 20-year-old Lake Elsinore resident, and Joshua Carrion, a 21-year-old resident of Lake Elsinore. They were both apprehended and booked into the detention center. They were also held on $1 million bail and facing felony charges of carjacking, robbery, kidnapping with the intent to commit robbery, assault with a deadly weapon, and conspiracy. So
okay, never mind. I think my hypothesis was very wrong. Never mind, my bad, y'all. I'm pretty sure I was wrong.
The investigation is going on, since they've probably gotten away with stuff like this in our town before, looking at serious time. Drop the hammer with those charges and bail amount. I love it. So these guys were not liked in the community, essentially. That is essentially, you know, people weren't feeling them. They were causing problems. Okay? They were causing problems in the community. People weren't happy. People weren't liking them. And, you know, it's definitely an interesting little aspect of this. The fact that this was somebody who was kind of known for causing problems in the area. Now, whether there's any proof that SA accusation against Celeste can be proven, not right now, there's no proof. But official records do confirm that Gustavo Morales did pass away just 8 months after that arrest.
Oh, okay.
And obviously, I've already explained the shooting incident that happened. Okay, he basically passed away on October the 14th, 2020 in Paris, California. And he had his funeral, and he was survived by his parents. So what's interesting, obviously, is that in the reporting related to the shooting that took his life, it was claimed that it was gang-related.
Yeah.
So, again, you already know about the incident itself, but this is the details, and essentially, you know, it's essentially, this is the person that, you know, was accused of killing Gustavo Morales. You know, Noah Centero, Buen Rostro Quartero. He ended up being accused of the murder. Now, I couldn't find any information about him being convicted. We heard about the arrest, but there was really no additional details just about exactly how this worked out, whether he took a plea, whether it was it resulted in a conviction, whether the charges were dropped. It really doesn't kind of give any information. And so, interestingly, if you kind of dig into some of these comments on the right side of the screen, you kind of have just people debating about this, and this is 5 years ago when it happened, right? It says, do you guys have any evidence, or are you just arresting people? When will people learn that their gang is not going to get them out of poverty? Go to school and get a career. The gang life brings only one of 2 options, death or in jail.
Very true, very true.
They usually don't arrest without some sort of evidence, but it seems like this didn't actually go anywhere. People saying, so young, 2 lives lost for probably very little. My heart breaks for all involved. People saying, I grew up in these blocks. I knew both men from both sides when they were still youngsters running the streets. Sad to see the streets always win, always hoping for the best. People saying no words can express the sympathy feeling our families for losing you, Gustavo. We'll forever miss you and love you as we gather at home to celebrate your beautiful soul. And people saying if it wasn't a justified self-defense, I hope he gets locked up for a long time. Now, I think it's possible. I don't know. I haven't been able to find out anything related to this case, but I think it's possible the charges maybe were dropped on self-defense. You know, the victim did have a history of carjacking. It's possible that maybe there was a situation where it was justified. It says, I
doubt it because they're in California. And with California, like, bro, for you to get a self-defense, like, for you to get charges dropped for self-defense, it better be like real self-defense. Like it better be this nigga was about to murder you. He put a weapon out on you and you pulled your shit out and shot him. Like straight up. That's how it needs to be. Because otherwise, you're not getting a self-defense plea because this is not a stand your ground state. It is not Texas. It's not Florida. Like, bro, you have a duty to retreat first in this state. Right? Which is stupid to me, honestly. You have a duty to retreat first. So unless, and just judging by this mugshot, I don't know. I'm stereotyping. I don't think this dude tried to retreat. I don't think bro tried to retreat. So if he didn't retreat, he ain't getting it dropped for no self-defense. The only way that would have worked is if, like, he really whipped that gun out and you whipped yours out and shot his ass. And that was the only way out of the situation. Other than that, the self-defense plea is going to be a hard one. I'm just saying.
Some basic research on the suspect. His active Instagram account no longer has a profile picture. Little things like that make it suspicious, like he's trying to hide from someone. But based on his looks, he looks like the type to use a gun to defend himself. It says you don't have a profile picture. What are you trying to hide? What would you use a gun for? To defend yourself? Basic research isn't looking at his Instagram and making guesses about his personality. It's just childish, and I hope you're never selected for jury duty. Okay.
All right, damn. He said one thing. Damn.
So there's more and more comments. People saying great job to the deputies, nice work to the cops. Could have been a game of drunken Russian roulette. There's no need to guess. People saying no way in hell he did it. Someone saying I saw someone say he freaked out in front of their house. Saying he wouldn't do this. Yeah, it's insane. There must be more behind it. People saying, was the victim the same Gustavo Morales that was arrested for carjacking and kidnapping? I didn't know there was a kidnapping charge. I knew there was a carjacking charge, but I didn't know there was a kidnapping charge.
They just said it
February
like 5 minutes ago.
Riverside Drive. I was just wondering, not that his death was justified or anything like that. But people saying, I thought so, but I wasn't sure. I wonder if these two incidents are related. People saying, I didn't know him. I knew Josh. He's mi familia. You share his name. I'm sorry for your loss. Prayers for the family. People saying, way to ruin the rest of your life. People saying, I knew Noah since elementary school. My condolences for both Noah and Gustavo's family. People saying it's a waste of life. Such a tragedy. Saying, what a loser. So he decides who lives and dies. People saying, what happened to these kids? It's amazing what drugs do to people. Many say, no way he could have done this, but there's more to the story, yada, yada. Say no to drugs, kids. Okay.
I don't know what drugs got to do with it, but okay.
People saying Gus was murdered. Yeah, people just trying to get to the bottom of this. So it's really interesting. Now, if anybody finds out any more information about this this incident, this shooting, and what's going on, please let me know. People thinking that it's a gang-related situation. They're saying all these little fake-ass gang members that live in that area of Joy and Machado and Lincoln, they need to do a gang force saturation there. Okay, so interestingly enough, I did actually manage to find a very brief follow-up here that basically says that he pled not guilty to the murder. So he was accused of the gunning down the 21-year-old. He basically is facing a sentence enhancement for the gun and great bodily injury allegations stemming from the staying of Gustavo Morales. So he apparently did at least plead not guilty in this incident. But even on this page related to the local crime news about the actual arrest information for this arrest, it doesn't show any release date. It doesn't show any bail amount, arrest location. It doesn't give any information about this incident.
That's weird.
Whatsoever.
That is
there is
weird.
Nothing about this. Now, what's interesting about this, I mean, I feel like there could be a possibility that maybe he was fighting his charges for years, right? Because I'm seeing him in this listing of court dates. And it's interesting, right? Because this, I believe, is a court calendar for April of 2023. But what's crazy is that pretty much everybody else that's on like the docket for their court date, a lot of these guys, they've been arrested. Their arrest date's 2023, 22 maybe. Couple of 2022s, mainly 2023s. He's the only one here with a 2020 arrest date.
Damn,
it appears that there was a court date in 2023.
Yeah, dude, you know what? That's the fucked up thing about a self-defense like thing in every single state. Let's say you actually like practiced justified self-defense. Somebody came, tried to kill you, you shot his ass, right? You're going to jail for months and months and sometimes even longer because they treat every single murder, whether it's self-defense or not, as a potential homicide, which means you're going to lose your house, your car, your bills are going to get fucked up, and you might have been in the right. So let me get this straight. Somebody gonna whip out a gun at me. I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm not dying today. I shoot his ass. So I go to jail for the next 3 years, and you just gonna fuck my credit up. You gonna fuck my car up. You gonna fuck my house up. All the bills I gotta pay are just. Your life gets ruined like that, bro, and it's crazy. And you might sit there for a long, long time because maybe you can't afford bail or whatever because you practice self-defense. Bro, fix this country. We are so hyperly focused on the wrong shit, bro. You're telling like that. I feel real bad for bro if it was a real self-defense case. I'm not going to lie to you. No bullshit.
Maybe it didn't get resolved, but there's a couple people here with 2021 arrest dates, but it seems like the Riverside court calendar, basically from the Riverside Sheriff's Office, was listing it as a hearing for court in 2023, but it seems like there was just no updates on it. There's absolutely nothing to be seen. So look, I'm gonna keep digging into this story. I really want to know what the outcome was for this.
Damn, I'm dying
over
here, bro. My bad.
There's absolutely no.
Yeah, it's definitely weird, bro. Definitely weird. It's definitely weird that they have no info on that dude's court case, bro. Let me know what y'all thought, though. Like, comment, subscribe, bro. Let me know if I should start live streaming. I've been telling y'all that, bro. But if y'all, some of y'all comment that sometimes. So if y'all really want me to live stream, y'all better let me know.